Hey everyone, this is your girl Sharifa, aka Shree, and welcome to the I'm Good podcast, or in better words, the I Feel Good podcast. If you are new here, welcome to the family. This is a podcast where I explore topics on mental health, physical health, nutrition, and everything in between. So if you're trying to get right and stay right mentally, this is definitely the place you want to be. And wait, before I begin, here's some quick info. Why did I name this podcast I'm Good? Simple. Because as people, from a cultural standpoint, whether we are down or happy, our favorite response to friends, families, or strangers is I'm good, even if we're not. It's completely normal not to feel happy all the time, but in the midst of whatever you go through, the saying I'm good can elaborate to so many different meanings. So yes, this is the place to be, whether you are down, happy, excited, and everything in between. I'm here to dish out knowledge, talk about current topics, and of course, lift you up. So feel free to go ahead and subscribe, share this podcast, leave a review, and tell a friend. Now let's go ahead and get started on today's show. Hey guys, if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. And let me explain to you really quick. First of all, for starters, it's free. Yes, I said it's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. And I know most of you guys have a phone or computer, so it's so easy. Anchor will also distribute your podcast for you. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So make sure you download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Hey everyone, welcome back to the I'm Good podcast. If you are new here, what's good, what's popping? Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. Listen, y'all, as always, I'd like to just express my gratitude. I'm so thankful to everyone who has tuned into this episode, to everyone who has shared. Thank you to anyone who's tuned into this episode or who have checked out any other episodes. Thank you. I cannot express so much how much I am thankful for you guys. You guys motivate me to continue to keep this going. And, the times where I'm like, I'm tired, but I'm like, listen, I love my supporters. I love my I'm Good fam. We are some real fam. So for my new listeners, make sure you stay for a while and come ahead and come on and join the I'm Good fam, because we lit over here. We pop it. We get information each week to help us improve ourselves nutritionally, just overall, just to help ourselves overall as just human beings. So listen, make sure you guys go ahead and take out your pen and notepad, whatever it may be. If you got your phone, take some notes, whatever it may be, because each week I always have some information to give you guys that will be helpful for you to just move forward in life. Also, too, this podcast is sponsored by www.allthingsshree.com. It is my online apparel store. I will be making some changes to that fairly quick. But before I make the changes, make sure you guys go ahead and head over to www.allthingsshree.com and use promo code I'm Good Fam at checkout to get 10% off your entire order. Once again, use promo code I'm Good Fam at checkout to get 10% off your entire order. That's on period. Okay. And thank you to everyone who has checked out and used the promo code. Thank you to everyone who has bought from the store. Listen, I love y'all. I love all my supporters. I love everyone. I cannot wait. And I've said this before. I'm manifesting it because I know it will happen. Well, it will happen, but I cannot wait until I start doing live shows, meet and greets, whatever it may be, so I can meet all of my wonderful supporters from all around the world. So I'm so excited. Listen, y'all, I'm excited. Sometimes I'm excited. Okay. A lot of times I'm nervous. I'm so excited. Half the time I'm so excited. I'm nervous. Has that ever been you where you're so excited for something that you're just nervous? And then sometimes I'd be so excited and nervous, I just don't do anything. I just sit there and look at myself what am I going to do now? But I'm excited for what's to come. I know big and great things are to come for me and for others as well. So I'm excited for what's about to come. Also, too, if you are listening to this on an Apple podcast, so whether that's, if you're listening to this on an iPhone, I was going to say iPod, but that is dating myself because I don't even think, do they even have iPods no more? No one uses iPods. The music is just on your iPhone. But if you have an iPhone, MacBook, whatever it may be, make sure you guys go ahead and leave a rating and review. It will be greatly, greatly, greatly appreciated. So make sure you guys go ahead and leave a rating and review. It helps the podcast to grow even more. And it also helps just for people to, be able to obtain information like this. Like I said, with this podcast, I feel like there's not a lot of, there is information. You have to seek it out, information in regards to self-development and overall health. But I don't feel like, I don't feel like it's like entertainment where people are more likely to, follow some entertainment stuff rather than stuff that is to help them. So make sure you guys go ahead and leave a rating review. That will be greatly, greatly, greatly appreciated. And then also, too, if you have not checked out, make sure you go ahead and check out our midweek roll call. For all of our new listeners, you got to go ahead and check that out after you listen to this episode. But make sure you guys go ahead and check out the midweek roll call. And thank you to everyone who has tuned into those. I literally started those, as I say, each week. I don't know, it's going to be almost a year now, but I started those months and months ago as just something like a bonus episode. And then I did the bonus episodes and I'm like, ooh, you guys like this. So I continue to keep it into the podcast. So those episodes drop every single Wednesday. So those are midweek drops. So those drop every Wednesday. And then our weekly full podcast episodes released every single Friday. And that's on period. So today's episode, I want to go back into basically self-care, self-development, all of that stuff. I think it is so important because I just really think as people, we don't really understand how important the mind is. Like, even when I talk about losing weight or you being motivated, whatever, it really starts with the mind. And that's the thing, I try to tell myself, if I set out a goal or whatever, it's not so much about achieving the goal, it's the mind. Do you have the mindset to go about and tackle that goal? It really starts with the mind. Starting or creating a business, it starts with the mind. Yes, creating a business, I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's doable. But you got to have a certain mindset. I have to, even me, to continue with this podcast and create a podcast, I had to have a mindset, to continue to keep this going. You can't just have a mindset I'll do it when I feel like it, or, no. There are a lot of times where I'm not feeling my best or I just don't feel like it, but I still make sure I record because I have the mindset I'm here to help people. That's one of my purposes in life. I'm here to help people. For me, the information that I'm bringing to you guys is information that I'm already, somewhat aware of. Sometimes I am learning as I discuss these topics, but this is information that I took the time to dive into and take a look at because I'm like, these are areas in my life I feel like I need help with. And I was like, why not start a podcast to help others? So the mind is important. So I want to bring it back to the mind. And for this episode, I want to talk about self-care tips for the mind. So a lot of times we talk about self-care tips for your overall self. So self-care tips like bubble bath, whatever. And that can still be for the mind because that can relax your mind. But I want to talk about some self-care tips that you can do for your mind. So the first one I want to talk about is one self-care tip is to talk to someone or listen to something. So when I say talk to someone, yes, that could possibly mean like a therapist. So if you have a therapist, certainly do that. I will say this, to be honest, as an African-American woman, a Black woman, I feel like, still therapy is kind of looked at as like therapy. You're going to therapy. It honestly, within the household, it's still looked at like, why you need therapy? And it's something that I feel like, as time has gone on, I feel like, things are definitely changing in regards to that perception, like, oh, you go to therapy, because a lot of times people think, oh, when you go to therapy, or you're just out crazy, like your mind is just crazy, whatever. But that's not the case. And that's why a lot of people, don't go. And there's a lot of different reasons. But I will say within our community and our culture, therapy is still kind of looked at, looked down upon, not as much because of social media and people being open with it, but, people really don't talk about it. But the first thing I will say in regards to self-care, in regards to your mind, is you want to have someone that you can talk to. Like, I would say, whether that be a therapist. If you don't have that, I would say a friend, a family member. It can be someone. It could be, hey, if you need to talk to your pet, whatever it may be. Like, it's really healthy. I'll say this. It's very, very healthy to have someone to talk to. And sometimes if you need to do it, because I'll do it myself, sometimes if you need to, talk to yourself out loud. You're not crazy if you do that. I do that. And honestly, too, that's also how I prep for this podcast. Is sometimes for me, in order to prep for the podcast episode, I have to talk out loud to kind of get myself, to where I want to be in regards to conversation. So, the first thing I will say in regards to a self-care tip for your mind is, talk to someone, and if you don't have someone to talk to, because there are times where I feel like, I don't have someone to talk to, or there might be something that I want to talk about and I feel, uncomfortable talking about it and I don't want to talk to no one about it. I would say, listen to someone, find someone, whether that's YouTube, whether that's a podcast, whatever, find someone where you feel like they're relatable to you or your situation and that you feel that they would be helpful. So for me, one person that I love listening to is, Eric Thomas. So the days that I doubt myself, the days where I feel sluggish, or the days that I want to give up, a lot of times I'll, go on YouTube and I'll look for something like basically, I'll look for like a YouTube video that might have like the title in it with Eric Thomas that seems like something that might be relatable to how I'm feeling. Or what I just simply do is I'll just listen to his podcast episode. And I'm not even going to say 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10, when I'm done listening to his podcast episode or whatever he has to say, if it is a speech or motivational speech, I feel a lot better. So if you don't have someone to talk to, that's okay. Sometimes it takes for you to listen to someone, if it's not Eric Thomas, it could be someone else. But for me, when I feel like I need to listen to something, for me, it's Eric Thomas. Now for more spiritual stuff, and Eric Thomas is a pastor as well. So he does have a church called A Place of Ministries, a place of change ministry. And I believe he does services every Saturday. So he is also a spiritual pastor as well. So he is a pastor, not only a motivational speaker. But for me, in regards to like a spiritual side, I also listen to people such as T.D. Jakes, Joel Osteen, Michael Todd. Kel Mitchell is also pretty new, someone that I listen to in regards to like spiritual guidance. He is now a pastor. I think he posts on social media. I feel like he became a minister a couple years ago. But so when you don't have someone to talk to and you need some mind therapy, listen to something, listen to affirmations on YouTube, listen to high frequency vibrations, whatever it may be. But I will say, talking to someone or listening to someone is definitely the first thing in regards to, trying to really, mold your mind into something that you want it to be. So basically practicing self-care. The second one on my list is, in regards to some self-care tips for your mind is setting a goal. And I'm not saying a big goal. This goes for me too. Like, I am the queen of setting a big goal. And I'm looking at the big goal, like how in the world? But I'm saying set a small goal. Like set a small goal and plan it out. So the small goal could be something like, okay, this week I'm going to try to drink at least 3 gallons of water per day. Something like that. I mean, for me, that's not a crazy goal because I have a gallon jug. Or you can say this week, my goal is to write in my journal at least 2 times this week. So I would say set a small goal, plan it out, and then and your mind will be able, you'll feel a lot better. So we all feel good. I'm telling you, it's like the best feeling ever, especially when you set out a goal. It could be a small goal, a big goal, and you just become so overwhelmed with joy because it's like, yo, I accomplished that. So a lot of people don't talk about that in regards to self-care tips, in regards to like how to really just kind of get your mind moving. But, one of the things that you can do is set a goal and I specifically think, for the purposes of this podcast, I would say set a small goal. Because a lot of times, a lot of us are overthinkers. I know I overthink stuff. I overthinking. That's how much I overthink. But a lot of times we're overthinkers. So we overthink ourselves so much into doing nothing. So if you're an overthinker, because I am definitely an overthinker, if you're an overthinker and setting a big goal is too much, I would say set a small goal. The next one, number 3, is this one is for all my millennials, anyone younger, whoever, or older. It doesn't matter. But another self-care tip for your mind is sometimes you just got to take a social media break, okay? I used to take social media breaks a couple years ago a lot of times, but now I don't so much because I run my business through social media. And then also I am like a brand on social media. So for me, it's a little bit harder. I mean, you can still do it nonetheless. Obviously, if you're an influencer, whatever you may be, you can do it. But if you're not an influencer, if you don't have like a business or whatever it may be, take a social media break, okay? Like even me, even though I do have my business and this and that on social media, even I need to take a social media break. Like sometimes you just need to take a break. If that break is for a day, if that break is for a week, just take a break and just really you'll be able to figure out what it is really that you want out of life. And I feel like with social media, especially with Instagram, because I'm on there most, but especially with Instagram and Facebook, there's so much information out there, like so much information being thrown out to you. You're really following other people's lives. Sometimes you might feel like you're not where you need to be, or you might find someone that might look better than you per se that you may think, especially if your self-esteem is not as high. You might see someone or they may have this or that, or they might be doing this, but they seem more well off than you. And I've always said this too, and I said this, I think, on my previous episode, is that, Instagram is a highlight reel. All these things are highlight reels. A lot of people are showing you their best self, especially on Instagram. Like for me, I'm not going to show you my worst self. Now, I might show you my worst self if there's something that I went through, but 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to show you my worst days. I'm going to show you my best days. So just remember that people are really showing their best days. And even when people are having a best day, they may not feel the best, or it may not have been the best day. But because of this social media, you could take a picture smiling, but you can really be depressed. It doesn't matter, social media. So I would definitely say take a social media break for your mental. It really helps. And even, I think I actually took a social media break maybe about a month ago. I think I did it for 2 days, and it felt so good. I'm not looking at what everyone else is doing. And then when I did go back into social media, it was kind of weird because I'm like, ooh, I'll be looking at what people be doing. Like, that's so odd. But, it is it is very addicting. And, a lot of these app places or app owners, whatever you want to call it, like these businesses such as Instagram and Facebook, they know what it is. They know it's addicting. TikTok is addicting. TikTok is these videos and you just keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. And by the time you get to bed, it's about 5 a.m. So I would definitely say take a social media break. Whether that means you got to take a break for an hour, 2 hours. It really depends on how much you're on social media. But if you feel like you're on it too much, you definitely need a break. Let's see. Number 4, read a new book. And I would say an old book, but I would say for this one, for the purposes of today's podcast, I would say read a new book. Find a new book, whether it's fiction, nonfiction, self-development, whatever it may be, read a new book. And the crazy thing about me is that I love books. And I feel like I get so many more gems from reading a book than like watching something or listen to something. Like I still get a lot of gems and the knowledge, but there's something about reading a book. And for me, I've been trying to get into the whole like ebook. So I try to like I have the Kindle app. So I'll try to read books on my Kindle app. It's still not the same as touching the pages, but it definitely does get the work done. I know some people talk about Audible. I haven't really gotten to Audible. I tried to do it on YouTube because I know with some YouTube videos, they have it where you can listen to the audio of a book. And I've done that once with Eric Thomas' book. Wasn't a complete fan of it, but if that's what suits you and that's, what makes you feel good, by any means, go ahead and do it. So that's number 4 on my list. Try to read a new book. Go into the bookstore, go into your local library, whatever it may be, and grab a book and start reading. And then also, too, if you're taking a break from social media, use the time to read to replace that time that you're on social media. And sometimes, too, which is crazy because I'll do it, we're on social media unconsciously. So, like, You might be working or you might just be walking down the street. Sometimes you'll just pull up the app and not even think about it. And I know when I took a break, I started realizing I was tapping on the Instagram icon without even thinking about it. So that's how you know you need a break. When you actually start, your body just automatically starts clicking on the Instagram app or Facebook app or TikTok app. That's when you know that you need to take a break. Like, I had to tell myself, like, sis, you need to take a step back. Number 5 is, listen, turn it off. And that goes for social media. But turn it off, whether that's the TV, whatever it is, turn it off. Like, your mind needs a break. And I tell myself this all the time. Like, sometimes a lot of times they say, like, meditate in the morning, whatever. If you need to meditate in the morning, afternoon, and evening, do whatever works best for you. But I want to say this, turn it off. Sometimes you just have to turn it off. Like, I think there's so much around us. There's so much just happening and people pulling us here and there. And we're just doing so much. We're trying to accomplish so much that we don't actually take in the moment of life. Like, we're not present. A lot of things that we do is more future-based or more like, how many likes can I get, or how blah, 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 or the news is talking about this, that, blah, blah, blah. At some point, it really does become overload. And for me, I feel like social media can become overload. And then also the television, TV, the news, whatever it may be, can become overload. When you're in the news, tell me the story once, but don't keep telling it. The news has about 10 different times they come on, 5 o'clock, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock, just to say the same thing. Sometimes you just have to turn it off. And I think we don't really realize the information that we're putting in our brain. Like, the information that we are putting in our brain is really why we're probably, let me put it like this. The information that we're putting in our brain or listening to or whatever we're doing is a result of what we are doing now. So if you're constantly hearing nothing but negative stuff, whatever, this and that, you're going to unknowingly have like negative beliefs about certain things. But if you pour positivity in your life, or you hang around positive people, whatever it may be, you're going to start seeing life in a different way. So like I said, you don't have to turn it off completely, whatever it may be. But sometimes you got to turn it off. Shut down your email, whatever it may be. Turn it off. Give yourself a break because you deserve it. Like, we all deserve it. There's not one person, I feel like, well, I don't really know every person, but I feel like the majority of people deserve it. We deserve a time to just relax, especially if you're a busy person and you're doing 10,000 things or whatever it may be. Sometimes you just got to turn it off. Listen, if it's the news, you'll hear about it. If it's about someone on social media, something happened or celebration, you'll hear about it. And if maybe you miss someone's birthday on social media, whatever it may be, if that person really cares and you tell them like, oh, I'm so sorry I missed your birthday, they will care if they truly care about you. So listen, turn it off. Like, honestly, I feel like that's like the number one self-care tip is just turn it off, because we literally, like, even me being a millennial, like, we literally are living like in a world where everything is just constantly just, things are just constantly moving. Things are just thrown at us. We're supposed to have this type of mindset. Like, I feel like it's really, really hard in this day and age to kind of have your own mind, because there's so much out there of what we think we should look like or what we should do or not do. But listen, y'all, that's a whole nother podcast episode. Okay, so number six I will say is plan a trip. So plan a trip with family, friends, or if need be, plan a solo trip. Get to know yourself. Maybe do a retreat. Plan yourself like a little getaway. Go to a spa. Go somewhere. Plan yourself a trip. I would say personally a solo trip, because with a solo trip, you're not listening to what someone else is saying. It's just you. And it doesn't even have to be so much a trip. It could be you just having a solo day where it's just all about you. You going to the spa, you having a self-care day, whatever it may be. But remember, for the purposes of this podcast episode, is about the mind. So plan a trip that, will basically bring you joy, or plan a trip that that will bring you peace or happiness. So don't plan something because someone else wanted you to go there or you really don't care about it, but genuinely plan something. Plan a trip for yourself, plan a retreat, and actually do stuff that you enjoy. Do stuff. And I think a lot of times we may go on trips, and we tend to go on trips with people and we do stuff what the other person enjoy, which is fine because we kind of learn what we like and don't like. But take time for yourself. Take time to relax and figure out what it is that you like. Number 7, the last one on my list is, listen, sometimes you just need to daydream and envision it. So basically, it's okay. Like sometimes they'll say in class, I remember this as like a child, they'll be like, stop daydreaming. As a child, like stop daydreaming, focus on your work. But, as now that I'm an adult, I now see the importance of daydreaming. Now, I'm not saying walk around daydreaming 24/7, but really daydreaming really is almost kind of another way of manifesting or visioning. That's not a word. Envisioning. But daydreaming is another way to basically manifest or to figure out what it is that you want out of life. So it's okay to daydream. There are times for myself where I'll sit back and I'll just really just reflect and figure out what it is that I want in life. And it is, basically daydreaming. But, there are times where I'll just sit back and just really think about what is it that I want out of my life? What is it that I feel like I need to remove out of my life? What is it that I feel like I need more of? And so that's literally when I have my moments of daydreaming, is when I try to figure out, okay, I feel happy when I'm here. I feel down when I'm here. This person makes me feel happy. This person makes me sad. Well, when I communicate with this person, I feel this way. But when I communicate with this person, I feel this way. So, daydreaming and just trying to figure out what it is that you want out of your life is very, very, very important in regards to just your mindset and just understanding what it is that that would bring you peace and joy. So those are 7 self-care tips for your mind. I know I've mentioned a lot of these things in previous episodes, but like I said, repetitiveness is oftentimes is the best thing. To definitely get things into your head, because for me, whether it's self-care, self-development, I may have heard it from someone else, or nutrition, whatever it may be, that topic about nutrition or whatever, but just continue to hear it really helps me to really get it, deep down and ground it into my mind or in my head. So listen, y'all. So hopefully you take this information. Hopefully you took notes. If you didn't take notes, feel free to go back to this podcast episode and listen to it again. But I really, really hope you guys take this information and apply it. You don't have to apply all of these, because like I said, don't get yourself overwhelmed. Especially if you're like an overthinker or you just try to do everything at once. Don't get too overwhelmed. You could pick maybe one of these self-care tips for your mind and try to incorporate it in during your week or whatever it may be. But overall, don't give up. Like I said, there's so much going on in this world, and there's information being thrown to us left and right, and sometimes it is hard to figure out where to go, and it's just sometimes hard to juggle life. But I will just say, don't give up. Like literally, don't give up. So today's quote of the week is wellness is the harmony between mind, body, spirit. Once again, wellness is the harmony between mind, body, and spirit. All right, I'm good, fam. You already know what time it is. We are now at the end of this week's show, and I hope this information was helpful, insightful, and everything in between. Do not forget to go ahead and subscribe to the I'm Good podcast. Share this podcast on your social media, whether it be your TikTok. You can share it on TikTok, Instagram, whatever it may be. Make sure you guys go ahead and share this podcast, leave a review, and tell a friend. Thank you guys once again. As always, oh my gosh, I love all of you guys. Thank you guys once again for tuning in to today's episode. And I will see all of my beautiful people next week. Bye-bye.